Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how to integrate Monday.com with any tool that you'd like via Make.com. And we're going to use something called Webhooks. So this is really a beginner's tutorial on how to connect Monday with anything by using a webhook. And it looks something like this. So on the left hand side you have Monday.com. Then we're going to send the webhook to Make, and you can see a webhook as like a signal one way. So let's say I would send a letter to you, I will send it one way and then you will receive that signal. Then from that point with Make, we can connect to any other tool, or we can just do other stuff within Monday.com. And I'm going to show you how to get started. So there's two things you need to do this, which is a Monday.com account and a Make.com account. Well, let's start with Monday. So I just opened a new board, an example board. And in Monday, you have something called the Automation Center. And if you go to the top right hand side, you click on Automate. And then here you can type Webhook, and then you see this purple thing. So if you click here, you see all the webhook options that Monday has. And as you can see, it's very similar to the normal automations. So when any column changes, send a webhook, or when an item moves to a specific group, send a webhook. There's all types of things. And it also supports sub items. So in our case, I'm going to say, when a status changes to something, send a webhook. So let's add it to the board. And then here it will ask you for a URL. If it's the first time that you do it, it will look something like this. And this is where most people get stuck, because this is where it gets a little tricky. So you need a webhook URL. It's like when I send a letter to you, I need to know your address. Otherwise I cannot send a letter to your house. And it's very similar with webhooks. When I want to send a signal, I need to send it to a webhook URL. So think of it like that. Well, let's go to Make. When you open Make, it looks something like this. On the left hand side, you have your scenarios. So click there. And I have a folder, so I'll go in my folder, but you probably see nothing yet. So I go into my folder of tutorials, and on the right hand side at the top, it says create a new scenario. Here, we're in a new scenario. So what we need to do is we need to use a webhook. As you can see, it's already showing up here, but if you don't see it, just type webhook, and then you'll find it. Oh, webhook. Well, there you go. There's three options: a custom webhook, a webhook response, and a custom mail hook. Make sure to use the custom webhook and not the other two. We'll use the webhook response later, but don't use the mail hook because that won't work. So let's do the custom webhook. And here we create a webhook, which you can do by clicking on the add button. So let's give it a name. Let's say tutorial Patrick, and we click on save. And here, as you can see here, we have now a URL. So this is the address that we need to send the signal to. And any signal that gets sent to this URL will trigger this workflow. And then we can go from there. So let's click on OK. Because what we now need to do is, we need to copy this URL. And then I'll show you one of the biggest mistakes with webhooks. So let's copy it. And click OK. And then you turn on this automation. And now what it's doing is just waiting till the automation receives a signal. So let's get back to Monday and paste that URL here. And what you'll see when you click on connect is an error. There you go, failed to communicate with URL provided. And that is because Monday always requires you to send back a challenge before you can actually connect with a webhook. You can think of this like, I want to send an email to your mail address, but first I need some way of verification. You want to verify that it's actually me, so you want to do that in a way. Maybe you, for example, call me to say, hey, is this really your email address? And you just need to confirm to make sure that everything is secure. So if we go to Make, you'll see that the webhook received the signal. And you can see that by the bulb here. And if you click on it, you can see what it shows. And it actually shows a challenge. And this is the secret code that you need to send back to Monday to confirm that it's actually you. And we're going to do that by adding a Webhook Response. So you can click here on the bottom hand side, or if you don't see it, you can just add another module, click on Webhooks, and then a Webhook Response. And here it gets a little tricky, so make sure that you do exactly what I'm doing. Keep the status at 200, which is computer language for it's okay. And then in the body, you just rewrite what I'm writing now, which I'll also put in the description. So it's open curly brackets, that's challenge like this. And then here you drag the challenge like this. And then you close it and you do close curly brackets. So make sure it's exactly the same as what I have. So it's open curly brackets, then this thing, which I always forget what it's called. And then you do challenge, you do it again, then you do the 2 points, and then you go from there. And what you'll see is when I click on OK, and I run the automation again, so it's important that you run it again, you see that it's listening to a new signal now. So I go to the webhooks again and click on connect, and then you'll see it actually works. Well, what happened in make? Well, we got the webhook again, we got a new challenge, and we send it back to Monday. We sent back the challenge, and the Monday was like, hey, this is good, everything looks okay. So here we can wrap up this scenario. So let's say when a status changes to stuck, send a webhook. And then we add it to the board. And now anytime the status changes to stuck, it will send the webhook to my make.com scenario. So let's test if that actually works. So you can remove this webhook response because you don't need it. It's only a one-time verification. So let's delete it with right click and then delete. And here you see the webhook. So if I run it again, and then I go into Monday, we can change the status to stuck, and then we should receive a signal. So as you can see here, it's still listening. And then I do stuck, and then within a few seconds, there you go, it shows that it received some new information. So if we open it up, you see the output is a bundle with an event. And in that event, you see all types of things. Most important here is the pulse ID, which is actually your item ID. So you can see here 156, which is the same as the item ID I see here, 156, which ends at 916, which is the same. So this is how you get started with webhooks. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, you actually can almost skip the webhook response step by doing the following. So you can, you don't need to wait on the challenge to actually do this stuff, especially if you work with webhooks a lot. It gets a little annoying to have that step. So what you can do as like a pro tip is add the webhook response and then type the body without needing to wait for the data. So I'll show you what I mean. So we do the same thing as we just did. We do it like this, challenge. And then here, you need to reference the challenge from the first step. And you can do that by opening two curly brackets and doing one.challenge and then closing two curly brackets. And as you can see, it will now reference the challenge from the first step, even though the challenge doesn't exist yet. And now you can just close it as we did before. And if you would set it up like this, you would actually never have the problem of, that URL error. So it's good to know, just a small tip. To move a little faster and not have any errors. If you use a tool called Zapier, this is actually done automatically for you. You don't need to worry about it. So they did that pretty well. But with Make, you do need to set it up yourself. Anyway, this is how you get data from Monday into Make. And from this point onwards, you can do anything you want. As you can see, there's a lot of apps that you can connect with. And then you actually get into the world of Make, where you can reference data from Monday items, update columns, update groups, create boards. You can do a lot. Just click on the Monday app to see what's possible. It's amazing. But you can also connect to other tools like QuickBooks. QuickBooks here, like creating invoices, where you reference data from previous steps. And I think Make at this point has more than 1,800 connected apps. And even if your app is not supported, they have this thing called an HTTP module, which basically means that you can send a signal or an API call to an API. That gets way more advanced, so I won't cover that in this video, but this is the basics on how you can create your own webhook and yeah, connect Monday with any other app in the world with an API. Hopefully you liked it. Let me know if you have any questions. Just put them in the comments and I'll respond and help you with it. If you liked it, please give a like. It would help me a lot. And subscribe to the channel. If you need any custom implementation help, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to discuss and see what's possible for your project. And if you keep doing everything yourself, totally fine. Hopefully my tutorials help you to build the automations of your dreams. Awesome. Bye-bye.